today's value talk, as I can see from the numbers itself, it's very well subscribed, and that itself shows the interest people have in this particular one of the very popular schemes by Directorate General of Resettlement, but one which is having people are having a lot of doubt about, and that's why we thought of this value talk today. And today with us we have Brigadier Vinod, who is DDG DGR of the Eastern Zone. Vinod, am I right? Please, right?
I'm the ADG of the DRZ East,
I,
Directorate of Resettlement Zone East.
so I owe you a, case of beer
No, no,
for this mistake of mine. Definitely. So
no,
I'm
it's
so
okay.
sorry for wrong this thing. Okay, so he's looking after the Eastern Zone for all the DGR initiatives, and he has very kindly consented to be on Value Talks today. Uh, before we move ahead with today's talk proper, Vinod, can you please uh, tell us in very brief details as to what is the vision of DGR in and what initiatives they have taken in last 2 3 years to make it more useful, transparent, and be veteran friendly.
Okay. At the outset, Manisha, thank you for giving the opportunity to interact with such a large cross section of officers, and also to Vipul, who had this idea of hosting this talk. And when I saw this, he was doing the demand survey kind of thing. I told Vipul, I think I should take it on, and because this is one scheme which is very popular, but at the same time, there's a large uh, lack of awareness about this, especially how to go about it. Now, coming back before I start my talk or for the briefing proper, what Manish sir just asked about the vision of DGR and how we have made ourselves veteran friendly or more useful to the environment. So, first of all, the vision is very simple: get a second career to all the retiring officers, JCOs, Jawans in the environment of all the tri-service organization. We find we either reskill, reorient, and get them adequately equipped to get a second career or a additional source of income to all the retiring Jawan, JCOs, officers of the three services. How we have gone about making it more environmental friendly? First of all, the present DG, he has made. I've seen two DGs in my tenure. I have completed 2 years in this subject. I've seen two DGs very closely. The present DG has brought about a paradigm shift in the outlook of DGR. For most important is transparency. The way we have been functioning, it is in an absolute transparent environment, so that the misapprehensions of people about this office is not there. The second thing is we have made tried to make ourselves most current. The kind of core, if you just have to look at the details of courses now envisioned, it's all the top-notch institutions of the country have been brought in this ski, within this ambit of this directorate. It is all IIMs and IITs. There are very, very, very few institutions below this standard in the bouquet of institutions that have been identified for running the courses. Similarly, all schemes have been made the most current. Either they have been modified or they have, if some courses have been found to be relevant, they have been just dropped. Uh, but we have tried to make ourselves most relevant to the current existing environment.
Actually, there is so much to ask you about, but we will request for another interaction with you. because I have got so many questions to ask you with from for different schemes, the job assistance, job placement, training of officers. So but there are many this thing, but I think it will require another session or maybe a session or two. But limiting to today's topic, that is security agency. Uh, I think it's a business opportunity given to the officers on platter, but still there's so much of confusion about it. Uh, so, what is the basic requirement for starting who can apply? Can a short service commission officer apply? Can an officer who has already hung his uniform maybe 3 4 years back, who has been superannuated, can he apply? So what is the basic uh, QR and what are the challenges?
Okay. First of all, who can apply? Any officer, whether a commissioned officer, can apply. That implies all officers of the three services, short service, or rather all officers less the nursing officers. Everybody else can apply, and even he can apply at any time as long as he is below the age of 60. The stipulation is he should be below the age of 60, and after 2018 this scheme is applicable only for a period of maximum up to 5 years,
So that means it is 5 years or 60, whichever is earlier.
whichever is earlier, and anybody can apply at any point of time.
Right, right. So uh, I remember one of my cousin who was he had some, I mean, long back. He had some 500 guards, but these days there is. I am getting. You see, before we started this talk, I kind of contacted at least 10 officers, and I got some input from them. And I mean, what are the common pain points, etc., etc. So I will, uh, you know,
Okay,
guide
sir,
this
can
talk
I? Okay,
accordingly.
sorry, interrupting you, sir. I
Yeah.
made a small structured talk. I mean, I collected my thoughts. I'll rattle
Why
it
not?
out, and thereafter we can
Sure,
go into discussion mode, and I will also answer the questions because it will then.
sure,
I
sure,
think
sure,
after
sure.
that, most of the
Okay,
things will be clarified.
okay, right. Go ahead.
First of all, I'll introduce myself, though Manish sir has already done the honors. But I'm Brigadier Vinod. I am from Marathalai and I commanded 56 RR at Machal and 23 Sector Assam Rifles. And from there, I've just come here straight. So before the moment when I was in Aizawl and I got this posting, DRZ East, that too sidestepped just 10 days before I was supposed to report to the new appointment. It took me full 2 days to find out what is DRZ East, and ultimately there was some mid-core officer of mine posted here in of my unit, who was with my unit, who was posted here. I had to tell him, please find out, this office is somewhere in Kolkata, please find out what is this and come back to me. Then he found out, sir, yeah. So that is how much people know about our existence. But notwithstanding, we have tried to reach out and make it more visible to the environment. And we work under, basically under the Ministry of Department of Ex-Servicemen Welfare. Now, ex-servicemen welfare is one of the departments under the Ministry of Defense. Now, Department of Ex-Servicemen Welfare, the ESW, that is headed by a secretary who is an IAS officer, and he's got three verticals under him. The first is the Rajya Sainik Board or Kendriya Sainik Board, under which the Rajya Sainik Boards and the Zilla Sainik Welfare officers work. So that is one vertical. The second is ECHS. That is also one of the verticals under the Department of Ex-Servicemen Welfare. And the third is DGR. Earlier, the Rajya Sainik Board or Kendriya Sainik Board was part of DGR, but for some reason it broke away at some point of time. That is, we'll leave it to later. Now, DGR undertakes, like I already mentioned, the vision and the aim of the DGR, but there are various aspects. Broadly, I'll cover. One is training. That is basically we conduct large number of courses and for officers, JCOs, Jawans, which we'll talk about it sometime later. Then, of course, is the self-employment branch, which basically takes care of this coal loading or coal tipper scheme, which is another was a very phenomenal scheme, much larger scope of earning, but which has gone into cold storage purely because of our own people's doing. And then the cocoa outlets, company operated, company owned outlets of various oil marketing companies. Then another thing is, of course, is Swafel and Mother Dairy booths, basically for JCOs awards. Then is the security agency scheme, which takes a large amount of our time and effort. These are the basically three departments which are work under DGR. Coming on to the security agency per se, who is it applicable to? As I mentioned already, it is applicable to all officers, less the nursing officers up to 60 years of age, and maximum of 5 years, whichever is earliest. JCOs can work under this up to 65 years of age. Now, just how does it work? First of all, basically, it is an officer-owned security agency, which is empaneled with the DGR. So the scheme is called DGR Empaneled Security Agency Scheme. The owner of the agency is an officer, and the persons who work under this are the JCOs and ORs, basically as supervisors, armed gunmen, armed guards, unarmed guards, and some lady guards, as and when there is a requirement of people are from the PSU comes up. We also have some lady guards, but they can be any civilian, because as of now we don't have any lady jawans who are due for retirement. Basically, all the PSUs have been mandated. PSUs is all central public sector enterprises. That is the exact terminology. They have been mandated to obtain their requirement of security services from DGR empaneled agencies. Unfortunately, most of the a large chunk of the central public sector enterprises don't source their guard from DGR. Otherwise, things would have been very, very bright, and like Manish sir said, somebody had 500 guards. That kind of situation would have been there. But since a large number don't subscribe, the number of guards are limited. Now, how do we go about? If today I decide somebody is retired and he wants to go for this scheme, how does he go about? First and foremost, you have to visit the website of DGR, that is dgrindia.gov.in, DGR India site. You go to that and register for this scheme. Register for when you register for a DGR scheme, you have to give your choice of which scheme you want to apply for and which state you want to apply for. Now, about the selection of state, I'll dwell upon it about it a little later, because it's one of the most crucial aspect while you are selecting this scheme. Once you have registered, made up your mind, you are registered for the security agency scheme. The next big hurdle you have to cross, or rather the only impediment you have to cross, obtaining the PASARA license, that is Private Security Agency Regulatory Act license. Now, this is a state subject. Generally, the Home Department gives it. So, various states have got their own officers which deal with this. You have to identify the PASARA. Now, there is one requirement before obtaining the PASARA. In the PASARA, you have to give the address of the office where you are going to operate this agency from. So that means you have to find out an office space, and which requires the trade and commercial establishment license from the respective local body. If you fulfill this requirement, you have to register for a PASARA license from the state, and the name given of your security agency, because you have to give a name on under what security agency you will run this scheme. So the name of the security agency has to be given, and that will be your name as per army list. If like today I apply for this, it will be S Vinod Security Agency. That is my army name, S Vinod Security. So when you're applying for a PASARA, make it absolutely clear that it has to be as per your army name in the army list. You apply for a PASARA license. Once you get a PASARA license, you have established your office. You go to requisite trade licenses from the local body. But that is not checked actually. Only we check the PASARA, but the licenses from the local bodies for trade licenses mandatory for obtaining the passport. The police come and verify and all, and you have to have a landline in the office. So if you are once you're met this requirement, then there is another requirement is you have to have a current account in the name of this company. So those documents are available on the website of DGR. I'll give you the link of that slightly later. Once these documents are ready, you apply to the DGR about you're wanting to get yourself empaneled. The designated day for empanelment as on now, as per the present policy, is Wednesday. So Wednesday morning, you report there. They go through the entire procedure of empaneling you, and by around afternoon or evening, you will come out with your empanelment certificate in your hand. Now, the moment your empanelment certificate is in your hand, you come under one of the DRZs, whichever state you have gone with your selecting your where you want to have your operator agency. So and your entire file gets transferred to that DRZ. Now what happens? Once you come, you are put in the list of security agencies which are operating in that state as per your seniority. Now it is the we from here on. It's my office which takes on. What happens is all PSUs operating in the area and under my responsibility. That is these 11 states. In my case, it is 11 states: Bengal, Orissa, Jharkhand, and the entire 8 states of Northeast. Whenever they have a requirement of any guards in their premises or any of their establishment, they forward a requisition. This is in a set format. They give a number of guards, under that what all type of guards, and the exact location where they are going to deploy these guards. Now we start going over the business of allocating this to the various agencies. How we allot it? First and foremost, we see if there is anybody who was in the previous board left halfway through. I mean, he is the last allottee of the previous agency. So we try to take him on. I mean, take off his requirement. How much do we allot? The basic allotment, the guaranteed minimum basic allotment is 50 guards for a period of 2 years. That is the logic behind that is 50 guards fetches you approximately about 1.25 lakhs. That is, if you add with your pension, will give you approximately your last pay drawn. So it is kind of a scheme which gives you last pay drawn for a period of 2 years. So that is the basic yardstick that the DGR has set. And based on that, we try to give everybody in a sequential manner the 1200 guards, that is 50 into 24, 1200 guard quota one by one. Once we finish off the entire wait list, then we go and find out who has availed the least number of guards till date over since they're coming onto the scheme. So it is a law of equitability by which the guards are distributed. Now, what happens is it doesn't exactly mathematically work that way. Why? Because what happens is a PSU will give a requirement in bits and pieces, either very small or it may be at one go, it may be something like 80, 90, 100. So the person who's on the day the allotment is made and the guards available, the first person gets the highest or the biggest requisition. That is purely luck. Because the system, as I mentioned, because of efforts to maintain transparency, the requisitions are given a unique identification number the day they are received at the office. So that ensures that there's not any hanky-panky which can be done generally. And thereafter, this moment, this board is done by a board of officers. The allocation is done by a board of officers. The board goes for scrutiny to the DGR. All boards are scrutinized by the DGR himself, and he approves it. Thereafter, it comes. It's all online nowadays, so he approves it and sends it across. And the moment it is approved and received by us, we issue a sponsorship letter to the respective PSUs. Like you gave us a demand, and this is the agency which we are sponsoring to you. Please go ahead with the contract and finalize the contract and start working, deploying the guards. Now, when the contract is awarded, there are two situations. Particular agency, either agency takes over from another agency. Say, like I was operating the agency, my 2 years is got over. The PSU send a requisition, and the next Manish sir has got he's the next in line. He is taken over. So what he basically does is he retains the same guards there, just changes their uniform as per your agency's uniform, or some people just change the badges from the name of the agency, and they continue with the same guards, so that the people who are working there get their continuity and their regular income. That time, if sometimes what happens, the company is coming to us for the first time, they're taking the guards first time, so I have to select and recruit the guards, and at times even train them. Mandatory, they have to go through a security training for a very short period. There are various agencies in the civil who give that certificate, and at times some, like people, if they are deployed in the airport and all, they have to go undergo specialized training with the BCA, the Bureau of Civil Aviation. So such kind of training, and then I have to deploy. So it is takes some effort from the proprietors. The proprietor is the we call the say officers who operate the security agency as proprietors. Now, after this, once you have deployed the guard, it is almost like you have to ensure that the guards are there by telephone. You have a supervisor. It is more or less the things go on their own steam after that. Once in a while, you visit them, like any other way we deploy guards and monitor it. And in a year, you are supposed to send twice report and returns, half yearly. Uh, that is once in as on 1st of July, and once as 1st of January. Other than that, every month you are supposed to prepare the wage bills, submit to the PSU. They pass the bill, and you get the money, and you are supposed to credit it to the uh, Jawan's account in an electronic format. You have to do bank transfers only. Now, this is a little bottleneck area because most of the PSUs don't pass this money on time. So, because of which, at times the proprietor has to either put in his own money from other, or he has to go from bank and take a business loan. Now, this is broadly how this system works. Now, first of all, I'll go to two specifics. Who should come? Okay, who should come into the scheme? As I mentioned in the beginning of this talk only, it is meant for only 5 years and 60 years of age. But effectively, most of the places, it is only running for this minimum 2 years only. That is a basic brick. Today, there are very, very few states where people are getting any guards after more than 2 years. If you go through the DGR website, go to DGR India that website, DGR India website, and you click under schemes, you will find the state-wise status of guards in each of the state in the country. So if you see Delhi has got almost waiting of 200 people, and similarly, almost all states have got a huge wait list, because of which it's very rarely, if any of the states, people get a revisit after their initial allotment of the bricks. So if somebody is coming into it, he should come with the premise that I am going to be here only for 2 years. That is all I will get, because that is it's a demand and supply. If there are very less people in this, people will get more guards. If more people join it, then the pie will be shared equally. That is why, sir, some time back, a few years back, when the awareness was not there about this scheme among the environment, people who came in, they had large number of guards. When I came here on posting, I saw there are officers who had made. I personally have spoken to them. They made 6.5 crore over a period of about 5-6 years from this scheme. That officer, when I came here, had 600 guards and a total of 20,000 guards. At that time, the service charge was 14%. Okay, the 14% means an guard in Delhi would fetch you 5,000 rupees plus. That was your service charge, which an officer would get per guard. And the guard in even the remotest location of the country would get you about 3,500, which the government made it 10% later because of certain other aspects. I'll dwell upon it slightly later. So either if you have, when you have just hung up your uniform, you are pursuing some studies or something, you are stabilizing, you require some monetary assistance for some time, so you can come for this scheme in a appropriate place, because this doesn't have require much of your time and effort once the contract gets start going. Or you are in the fag end at the 59th year or so, or 58 years, and say that, okay, now I want to relax a little, I don't want to run around so much, so let me take this scheme and do with it. Now, some of the drawbacks of this: first of all, there are large number of officers, and because of which the pie is shared. So, and not everybody is getting the kind of returns this scheme was offering some time back. Second is, this is the bane of this scheme. The complete, I mean, I would say almost 90% of these agencies are run by cartels. Cartels, I mean, there are either civilians or retired officers who have run this scheme, who know about this scheme, and they just the moment they come to know that officer is retiring, they approach them, they tell them, they scare the hell out of the people. First of all, they will say, "Saab, you will not get a pasara license. आप कहाँ दुकान retirement के बाद जाके license के लिए खड़ा रहोगे? Where will you find a shop?" And those kind of things. And they play on our uncertainties and convince you that come with us and take this. You give your credentials, get yourself empaneled, and I will run this on your behalf. And various places have various profit sharing formulas. In my work, generally it is, I think it is 50-50 they are sharing. I think Delhi it is much lesser percentages. And this is the bane of, and the environment knows about it. That, and this is why I mentioned earlier, the government brought down the service charge from 14% to 10%. So anybody who decides to join this scheme, please stay away from these touts and cartels, because this scheme, if at all, will wind up one day. It will be because of our own doing and of this issue. Otherwise, if these cartels, because what is happening now, large number of officers have jumped into the fray because of the prodding by the mafias. I'll not take names. In my uh, AOR, as late as last week, I've got six agencies come in my. Have got empaneled and joined my in the live for a state under me, and all the six officers are from Gurjinder Vihar in WHO Noida. So you can imagine, from Delhi, sorry, from Gurjinder Vihar, if six officers have come, and almost all their dates of obtaining pasara, obtaining various registration and such things are almost the same time period or identical. So my request is, anybody who wants to come in the scheme, please come directly and run with this one. This is not such a Herculean task. It's a very simple thing, except for obtaining the pasara. There is not much of a hurdle. It requires very less of your time and energy. At best, in a month, you require about to spend about 4-5 days dedicated preparing the bills and various compliances you have to file at your EPF and ESIC. There's mandatory compliances. It's all online, very simple, straightforward. And the last point from my side, some of these cartels are run by Nayaks. So if a retired Nayak can run it, why can't we as officers do it? That's all as of now. As a structured talk I have made a point, jotted down the points.
Later, I have got so many questions out of your talk only.
Okay, I'll answer one by one.
Sure. Uh, First of all, the logic behind army name, army list name, you know, like it is Vinod S Security Agency. What is the logic?
Logic is to streamline, to facilitate officers. Say, because what is happening is, you have to have a name for the security agency when you apply for it. So somebody saying Secure Eagle or Fierce Force, it was to just to streamline it. The DGR has laid down, it is as per the name of the officer, so that he
Gentlemen, don't
applies for
raise
it.
your don't.
Streamline it is, so that we are all in the same. It's a ease the they say ease the procedures. I don't know. There's no particular this.
Now you said it is an officer owned business. It is an officer owned agency,
Yes.
right?
That's correct.
DGR is basically facilitating the entry, right?
Absolutely. Entry and functioning also.
No,
Amongst
so
it's a moderator. It's also a moderator between the various agencies in a state.
but I have, and I know people personally uh, who left this security agency because they were not getting payment from uh, the PSUs, and they could not sustain. And DGR raised their hand. I mean, they didn't get assistance. So, is DGR assisting in payment collection,
Uh,
timely
uh,
payment by the PSU?
Okay, I'll answer this question. I mentioned in my talk also, this is a little bit of a bugbear because we are working with the civil environment. And have to deal with civilian staff who are dealing with the finance department. At times, the PSU is operating in, say, a remote location in Jharkhand. The head office is somewhere in Orissa or somewhere in Delhi. So the files go to them, and they also have their demands. Some of them they expect some gratification. So there are issues in that. But generally, if officers are operating themselves, this is what I personally have seen. If officers are working on their own, generally by and large, in a month or two, the payment have been released. Why? Okay, now the officer you said have to put money or get exited out of the scheme. There are ways and means of working. Since you are operating as a company, say you are say a security agency is a company, you can take a business loan. The
So,
interest
sir,
you pay
my
for the
question, sir,
understood.
my
Okay, I'll
question.
come back to your question. If DGR helps, yes. If a case is referred to us, we take up the case with the PSU. If he is playing, if the officer says no, he is asking for this, we will rake it up to the highest level. Like the recently for Food Corporation of India, they have come out with a policy which is absurd and which is harming the interest. So the point was taken up, and the point DGR does facilitate. We get involved at the right at the top level, but only it is government to government interaction. Ultimately, we don't have any powers to penalize the PSUs as such.
So if that be so, which I was actually wanting to hear this. Sorry, it's going to be a heart-to-heart talk because I've
No,
got
you
so
can
many.
ask anything. See, ultimately, we are working for the environment, and
Absolutely. So,
officers have to be clear on what they are getting. There
the
are some harsh realities also on the ground because it's a
yeah,
civilian environment. It's not. We are no
absolutely
more dealing with people. Even the officers and JCOs, Jawan, at times they behave in such a. There have been cases where
absolutely
Jawans have misbehaved to officers because we are none of them are under Army Act, Army rules. That stringent command and
right.
control doesn't exist. So
So
we have to face the reality.
aim of this talk is basically that first of all we know how to go about it, and secondly, if maybe there may be some good points for you also for further improvement.
Yeah, sure.
So my point is, so basically, it is once the guard is given, it is the officer who has to fight for himself. He has to get the thing done because it's his own business, right? But thereafter, now you have squeezed the officer so much that the guards are limited, and now you somewhere you mentioned it is mostly for 2 years only, right? Most probably it is going to be for 2 years only, and then you are not allowing them to get more business from other PSUs which may not be on your which may not be utilizing your services. So you
Okay.
are actually controlling in all the DGR is
No.
actually controlling in all.
It's not exactly like that. Till the time he is working with us, there is a stipulation that he should not be doing uh, any other job. That is with a purpose. Otherwise, even
So
people who
he's
are
not doing
employed,
job. So he's not doing a
but he
job.
can do business. He can have other business. He can have his
No, no.
agriculture.
Can he get security business from other PSUs?
No, till the time you are empaneled with us, you cannot go for security because obviously there are the DGR wage rates are very very lucrative. Jawan gets anywhere up to around 30,000 if he's in Class A city, and about 20 to 25,000 rupees if he's in Class city C city. That is the least. That is provide the HRA and all being claimed. But most of the places HRA they get HRA. So the income officer gets is anywhere between 3,000 to 2,500 per guard, 2,600 per guard. Now, till the time this is a DGR guideline or DGR ruling that till the time he is working with us, he will not take outside contracts. But if after 2 years he is free to explore his own, because he's got gain insight and adequate insight, and he can take on his own. But till the time, you cannot run two this thing, a private security agency and
No,
for G security agency.
in my opinion, and I mean, in environment's opinion, it is a very myopic view which DGR is taking. Right, DGR must be having its own logical reasons to do it. I fully understand, but my point is that you have given the officer an opening to do something. Okay, now he is doing something, and thereafter he is enterprising. He is able to get more business from those PSUs which not giving business to DGR. So even that you people are not allowing. He cannot do a job. He cannot allow it. You don't have a timeline. When will he get the guards? There is no timeline. So I mean, it is how is it favoring the officer?
No, again, I'll clarify this. What will happen? Okay, I'm having an agency. Okay, I have a working in say PSU X. What will I do? I'll, instead of the moment I get this PSU to come to a DGR channel, I know that it will go not come directly to me. It will go to the common kitty, and from there I'll get my share. And if I were to theoretically, I was supposed I were to play, what you was the scenario what you was mentioning. I'll go to the PSU. I'll tell him, here you give me another 10 more guards directly to me without letting the DGR know, and you whatever may be the inducement or understanding between them. Okay, it will lead to us a very complex situation, which is not would not be very healthy. That is the logic, sir. Otherwise, we are not restricting anybody, sir. I've seen the other side also. While we are there to help everybody, facilitate everybody to the maximum extent, but I've seen how some for a few extra guards, what all people have stooped down to. I mean, no pointing finger at anybody, but the harsh reality is that, sir.
So, Vinod, I will not, dwell upon too much on it. The point is that we want to be a watchdog for all the things which can actually uh, make it less lucrative. But as far as officers, this thing is concerned, the officer, you actually it should be a business opportunity which he should be able to develop instead of getting it restricted. And we don't have a timeline. An officer can apply. I can apply today. I may get a pasara in 2 years, maybe in 3 years. I may get guard after 3 years of getting pasara. So that is also this thing. So there is nothing which can be planned based on this
Okay,
security.
so sorry interjecting. If you are getting you can do anything till the date time you have not been given the guard. I mean, if somebody is very enterprising and he wants to start off his security agency immediately, he can start off. But the day he is allotted guard, he should be only doing DGR guards. This is
So,
the stipulation.
so
So I'm
that
giving
is
the rule
not
question.
it. So that doesn't.
Nobody is stopping. Nobody is stopping in the waiting period. You can go work. You can start the security, run the security agency, private
So
capacity.
here,
Nobody is stopping it.
so here you are actually. So your own statement does not hold ground that for 2 years the person who's you can join uh, some course or something, and in the meanwhile you can do this, and after the because in 2 years he will not get the guards only. 1 year he will take in getting the pasara, another 1 year he will wait. So
No, sir. It is a you are taking an extreme view. I'll tell you, sir. There are places like today you get a pasara of Orissa. You come here in next 1 week. You will have your guards. You come here
right.
today to me from with a pasara of West Bengal. There's no wait list. Okay, sir. Today you come with a pasara of Manipur. Within 3 months you will have your guards. Okay, sir. So it is not. So it is dependent. Now what is happening is everybody is making a beeline for Delhi, where there's a huge wait list, 3 4 years, 2 3 years, or UP, those kind of things. Like there's an officer from Delhi who's taken a pasara in Arunachal, sir.
No, there are so many officers who they may be, because that is why people are taking pasara outside, because it may be easier to get pasara, and secondly
Easy.
it is easier to get guards. So that is understood. But then you are also pointing out that people from Gurjinder Bihar are applying in Odisha or this thing. They will
No,
naturally
I
apply
know, no,
here.
I'm not. I know, no, no. So there is a difference. There's a, you don't misunderstand me. Let me tell you, there are officers from the I know personally officers from Bulandshahr and such kind of places. they are operating. Sir, इतना तो we come to know कौन अपने आप चला रहा है, कौन
Okay,
एजेंट के थ्रू चला रहा है.
I give it to you. You are in the business, so
ओके
you
सर,
know.
व्हेन गुरजिंदर विहार से आता है इकट्ठा एक ही दिन में सारे पसारा लेके, एंड देयर हैव बीन इंस्टेंसेस वेयर आई वाज, sir, when did you come to collect your show me I mean, when did you come? They all have flown in the same aircraft under the same booking.
Right.
So
I
I
give
will
it
not
to you.
dwell into it.
I give it to you.
So
Okay. So my point is, in case there is the restriction on you are getting only 50 guards. One is getting only 50 guards, and then there is you cannot.
guarantee of 50 guard, guarantee of
Yeah,
50 guard.
right,
I'll
right. Okay, 50 can go to 60, whatever. Anyway,
no 60, 100 also, sir, at times.
so let's take the guaranteed figure of 50 for
50.
it has got no relevance. 100 also is fine. What I am trying to say is that so there is a limitation on number of guards, and you cannot do job at that time when you have the security agency. You cannot get more business in the same security agency. This thing. What are the efforts being made by DGR to get more PSUs on board?
Oh, yeah, that I must tell you, the DGR has DG has been personally visiting each of the secretaries of various departments. Like I'll tell you a very small example. We have now we have got number of aims. I mean, aims have proliferated into almost every state as an aims. Yeah, I he has walked up to the health secretary and convinced him, and there was a video conference. All the directors of aims were brought in, and in no uncertain times they have been told that 100% of your guards will come from DGR. So similarly he is doing it for various other ministries. uh, the other day he was here. We met the chair. By the way, Coal India Limited, the headquarters is in Kolkata. So he came here. He met the chairman, Coal India Limited. Yeah, and coal fields are one place where the requirements are in thousands, where the number of guards. So DGR is definitely going out of his way to get more and more guards our way. But it is like an unending situation. The more guards we are getting, the more people are joining the fray. And the problem is a lot of people who are just don't require it, really speaking, but then they've been motivated by these cartels. साहब आपने कुछ नहीं करना है, घर में बैठना है, यहाँ पे आके खड़ा हो जाओ, आपको आप बस अपने ये एम्पेलमेंट सर्टिफिकेट बना के दे देना, उसके बाद मैं संभाल लूंगा. That is why this system has been taken, and it is our own officers who have done this. Otherwise, the number of for example, I'll just give you the very one statistically. When I came here in 2020, the number of guards under my office was about 3,500 or so. Today it is more than 11,000. You can just see in the website the number of guards which I am operating in my work. So that is the exponential rise of number of guards that has gone in. But at the same time, when I came here, there were just about 20 agencies working in Bengal. That is 63 as on today. So that is the problem. While we have increased the number of guards, the number of people who are also joining the line have gone up. So let us hope that more and more guards come through, and we finally reach a level of satisfaction for everybody.
So maybe I don't know. It's just loud thinking. Maybe the entry barrier. There may be an entry barrier uh, of this thing, but it cannot
No,
be that you are giving. It's like you see, we have a tendency of being a watchdog for everything. Okay? So my point is, you do whatever. There'll be some people who will be able to find the loophole.
that obviously that will be there. That any scheme, people will like. I'll tell you why the coal loading tipper scheme went up. That was a beautiful scheme. A time came when this scheme 100% went into the mafia. Not only, at least this security agency scheme, that till today the saving graces, while the officers have outsourced it, this guard business to cartels and sublet or whatever you can call it. Uh, but the saving grace in this is the 100% or 90% of the in any case DGR permits up to 10% civilians in this scheme. Some places we have to oblige some high VIP this thing. So in the ruling only it is given that maximum of 10% can be accommodated by the DGR agencies, civilians. So the people who are reaping the benefit on ground are the JCOs ORs, and it's a reasonably good income. I mean, about 25,000 monthly with the pension, if you take it together. it's a or is and somewhere close by to their hometown, people are doing generally happy about it. So that is only saving grace out of this scheme.
So basically, it's a very limited benefit. Security agency is a very limited benefit scheme. You are limiting the you are DGR. DGR has limited the time. DGR has limited the guards. DGR has limited the occupation. Yeah, yeah, I mean this is a fact. DGR has limited put the restriction that you cannot do a job. DGR has put a restriction that you cannot take more business. Even if DGR is not getting it, there is something you see there is a need to do little bit of, I mean, you were talking to the environment, I'm sure a lot of other people are listening. There is some point in taking it and mulling over it. I fully understand that you guys, first of all DGR is doing a wonderful job, there is no doubt in it, I but the point is, from being wonderful to the best, there is still some this thing to be given, and that is why people like you are being posted. You yourself said that when you came here there were 3,000 guards and now there are 11,000, so that itself speaks volumes. But the point is that if somebody has got the potential, he has got a uh, entry because of DGR, which is the biggest point. He got an entry because of DGR, and otherwise getting an entry is a difficult. Thereafter, he is planning to diversify. He's got into the security business. He wants to get into electronic security. He wants to increase more guards. He wants to get into all Falang, but he cannot do it just because DGR has got a restriction. And you tell me one thing. Another thing which comes to my mind is that if it is only for 2 years, after 2 years, is there a chance or will there be a communication to the officer that okay, whatever quota you had is now finished, now you are not likely to get? What is the I mean, suppose an officer has got 50 guards for 2 years. So after 2 years, those 50 guards will be withdrawn from him.
Okay, there are two components in this question. Which first of all, okay. First of all, if an officer is running this business and he's found out that he's now got entry, he's got his initial foothold in this business, and now he's finding more opportunities. He's any day free to go. If there is no restriction, he can leave even after 6 months or 1 year. There's no, if he's got more opportunities, he's diversified, he is getting a much bigger opportunity in whatever electronic you mentioned, he is getting a better opportunity than this. There is no restriction on his exit. He
No, no,
can.
no, 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 no. This is not what I asked. So
No,
my
you said
my my
opportunity.
question
No,
is,
you said he wants to do his opportunity. So these are most of the officers who come here. I have, since I speak to a very large cross section of officers who I personally know, almost 80% of the officers who work under. I reach out to them at least on telephone. I would have spoken to them at least twice in my entire area. I would have reached out to them. Most of the officers who come to us are people who generally don't want to. After this agency, they have even after finishing of this agency, they have not pursued it. They just closed it up. This was the income. They have closed it. So if there is an opportunity, we are not restricting them, but only like for some, there are some very valid reasons. I'll not dwell into because we'll keep going on this talk.
right.
We'll not progress
Okay.
further. But because of some very valid reasons, it is been restricted, and I can assure you that it is very valid, sir. I'll go to speak to you separately, but yes, there is a valid reason, and if he's sensing an opportunity, he's free to go. Second thing, sir, after what happens after he is availed is basic, sir. That is, like I mentioned, sir, the minimum guaranteed is 1,200, sir. After 1,200 guards, nobody can assure or either tell him to exit out or tell him, okay, we will give you additional, because it is a demand. And like I'll tell you a very small thing. Nobody, I couldn't have guessed that suddenly Bengal will not have a waiting period. Bengal was one of the most sought after place in my AR. So one fine day, there was some one officer wrote us some stupid letter to the chief minister, and the chief minister told, okay, no more pasara. So since March 2022, there is no pasara issued to Fauji's by the chief minister or at her directions. So there is no waiting period. And people are now people who were awarded 1200, they are now again getting a revisit. They have started getting their second tranches. Similarly, Odisha, for some, the Odisha is still getting, but there was a period for 2 years in 2 3 months in Odisha, no waiting period. So those type, all the people who are on the wait list got a second lot of guards allotted to them. So we cannot tell after two. Generally, I mean, this very dynamic environment. So if an officer after 2 years, if he sees a large waiting list, he knows that he will not get anything. But if he finds there is no wait list, he can continue. So you can't be very cut and dry on this aspect. So that was the second part of the question which I wanted to answer.
Sorry, I didn't get what 1200 guards you mentioned. What was that?
Sir, I was mentioning, if see, I mentioned the logic of 1200 guards is for that is 50 guards for a period of 2 years. So that makes it
Okay.
1200 guard months. So he gets approximately a lakh and two lakh to between anywhere between 1 lakh to 1.5 lakhs in that period when he is having this 1200 guards. Okay, sir. So that is the logic. He has to have
Okay.
basically, if you have to see that he's got a pension of approximately 1 lakh, around 1 lakh, and 1 lakh you get as this security business. So he is able to sustain himself for 2 years. That is a guarantee this scheme is primarily intending. Uh, this policy was brought in after the number of people who started applying became very large. Earlier, this about 3 4 years back, there have been officers who, after retirement, right up to 65 years of age, that time it was up till 65 years old, have continued with it and may have made good money because that time, as I mentioned in the beginning of my talk, the awareness was not there. Number of people who were coming in joining this scheme were very less, so it was good money. People were there less, and good money was coming in. Now, as and when more awareness of this scheme, every almost, I mean, today there is an officer's son who's a known agent or cartel or mafia, whatever you can call him. He approaches all officers who go for the retirement seminar in Delhi, sir. People will start getting called the moment you register yourself in DGR scheme on the website. You will start getting calls. People start approaching you. So it has gone into a very tailspin of that sort, which we are trying to bring it out. But it's difficult because till the time officers decide amongst themselves that I will operate it as per the rules and regulations, I will not sell myself to agent. This scheme, very less we can do on this. Now, when you mentioned after 12 the question which you asked was after 1200, will you be given intimation that you will not get any further and you exit out? That we cannot do it because it's as I was mentioning, it's a very dynamic situation. Some states may have a waiting period at some time, may not have a waiting period. So it is officer to take a decision that what will be my state after this. He does his basic, he's availed his basic allotment.
So is it allowed that an officer who's say doing it in Odisha and after 2 years he finds that Odisha has got too much of waiting list and can he change it to
Uh,
some other state?
he can join the scheme, and if he finds the waiting list too long, the time is running out, he's crossing the age limit of 60, or he's got some urgent requirement, he can change the state till the time he's availed the benefit. That is, if he's been allotted a guard. So if he say he's just on the waiting list and he's not been allotted a guard, he can change his state. But once he's been allotted, he cannot आज इस लाइन में भी रोटी खाऊंगा, कल जाके उस
No, no,
लाइन में
my why I ask this question is because say Delhi, Bombay, and all these metros have a large wait, maybe having large waiting list, but Manipur may not be having. I'm just taking names. So Manipur may not be having that kind of waiting list, right? So and may not be having too many takers also. Maybe I don't know. So can an officer who's doing it in Bombay and he got 50 guards and then for 2 years he did there and thereafter he's not getting it and he still has age in favor in his favor, he cannot apply for this thing.
No, no, he cannot change the state after he is availed at one place. It will lead to a very unhealthy situation. So you say, I join in West Bengal, I have taken my 1200, then I'll go and stand in line in another place. So it will lead to a very unhealthy environment. So it will not feasible. So it will not work out. He
So
Okay,
cannot change.
Manisha, can I
right,
interfere here now?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, please.
Okay. Sir, this scheme actually, if you look at it, it's kind of a launching pad. What stops an officer from developing their contacts in 2 years, understanding the nuances of doing business, creating a sales and marketing and business development team, and taking it from there? Because
No, no,
everyone wants it easy.
no, that is
नहीं
fine.
सर
That is
ये
fine, Vipul.
नहीं नहीं
Excellent.
सर सर ये एवरीवन वांट्स इट इजी. सबको ये चाहिए कि हमको डीजीआर से 24 गार्ड मिल जाए, 50 गार्ड मिल जाए, 100 मिल जाए, 200 मिल जाए. घर बैठ के कुछ नहीं है. और वो एक टेंडेंसी हो गया. एंड द फैक्ट दैट ये कार्टलाइजेशन है ये सही है. व्हाई डू ऑफिसर्स एंगेज इन दैट? व्हाट अबाउट द ऑनर कोड? व्हाई शुड ओनली एंड डीजीआर थिंग बी ब्लैकलिस्टेड? अगर ऑफिसर इसमें मिलता है तो उनको और एमोल्यूमेंट्स पे क्यों नहीं वो होना चाहिए? और ये होगा धीरे धीरे. Incidentally, a file noting has been moved that if an officer is found engaged in subletting his DGR sponsored this thing, there would be a debit on his pensions. Otherwise, sir, सबको चाहिए. There is a huge demand, but there is no supply because people are not ready to fulfill their part of the bargain. As an officer, you're supposed to hold up to an honor code.
So, Vipul, that is all fine. But the point is that thing, can
सर वो
people put
कार्टलाइजेशन
themselves
हटा
on
देंगे
use?
ना. नहीं सर वो कार्टलाइजेशन
So
हटा देंगे तो
the biggest problem
50%
today,
डिमांड वैसे
Manish
ही
sir,
कम होगा.
what yeah, who,
No, no,
I don't know who the
no, no.
speaker is, sir, but he's
I,
given a
I,
very, very valid point. The cartelization is the biggest bane today in this complete thing, sir. The day this cartelization stops, officers start working, we would be having so much of satisfaction in working also, our office also, sir. The
no, no.
biggest bane is today cartelization.
No, no. I am not. I fully agree with this problem of cartelization. What my point is that in case there is, had it been so streamlined that if I apply today, DGR has got a commitment that you would be given this thing by this time, then all these things is fine. 2 years, this, that. So officer can
Sir,
plan.
Manish sir, I would like to interject, sir. Sir, the problem is this is not one single agency, sir. We are getting it from an environment, sir. We have. I have personally walked up to so many places. Why don't you take like I'll tell you a very small thing. When I came here on posting, somewhere I found out. But since I was interacting with a very large cross section, I found out that there is a ruling that all banks, their currency chest, 100% has to be from DGR. This thing. That is a stipulation which the RBI is given as a policy letter. I walked up to the RBI head office here in. When you walk in, the response, some of them, most of the places, we do get our due as Fajis. When I go to PSU, I go in uniform. When I walk into a PSU, I also found my fair share of people who are not that. I wouldn't want to use a better word, but that's not cooperative, sir. I mean, they throw a cold shoulder at you. So I wish there was adequate number of guards to give everybody. The problem is today there is everybody who people who I'm very 100% sure he doesn't require this scheme, but he's also joining in because the sorry my saying the human greed has no limits. He like there are officers who are getting really peanuts in places like Delhi, but he's still saying मेरा घर का महीने का टेलीफोन का खर्चा और पेट्रोल का खर्चा निकल जाएगा और मेरा so I'll still मैं भी लाइन लगाता हूँ कोई मेरे तरफ से there is no expense involved. So this is the problem, sir.
No, anyway, this is a larger discussion. But anyway, I will open the house for question answers. But before that, gentlemen, there are 140 odd people here.
You gotta focus on yourself, on your faith, on your dreams, on your mind, on your health, yeah. You gotta work, never tell, keep